Hey there! Now in part 2 of Fun Times Family Art, we're going to be doing a gate to go on to the little post and rail fence that we did in the last video. And please just follow along. Now I'm going to show you all the tips, how to shade, how to draw nice textured images, and we'll have you drawing like a pro in no time. My name's Robbie Greer from Rusticated-Art, and I'm bringing this series to you, Fun Times Family Art, because of the requests that I've had from different people, from some of my subscribers, from family, friends, that love to sit and draw along. So what I thought I'd do is just to make it a little bit easier, I've revisited my first series of videos and re-edited them, or redone them actually, with you in mind. So what do you reckon? Ready to jump in? Come on in. In today's tutorial, what we're going to be doing is we're going to add a gate and another post. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to make the gate, we don't want to come out a little bit, we don't want to come out too much. In fact, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use my triangle, my set square. I'm going to come out about there. We're going to go roughly about the same height as the post. So we're coming out, that's about 4 mil. And we'll make the post, the gate, we'll make it 10 mil, 1 centimetre. Now what we do, we're just going to go up here. And remember, we're only using the ruler just to get everything in place so we know where everything is. What I mean by that is it's very easy to get lost when you're starting off. So that's why I use the ruler. Just look, some tutors will say, oh, you know, you got to do it like this and like that. Well, that's fine. But what I've found is that with a lot of my students, especially the older ones and that, they don't really have the time. Is that the right? Well, what I'm trying to get at is, for them it's much easier if they've got some guidelines. You know, for them, a lot of them, it's just a hobby they want to pursue. Yes, I know if you practice over and over how to draw a straight line, you'll get a straight line. That's fine. I don't have any problem with that at all. But for the purpose of this exercise, we're using a ruler. And then we'll come out about the same distance, about 4 mil. I'm going to put the outline in first, and then we'll come back in and shade it. And this one here, what have we got here? 15 mil, that's right, 15 mil. And that's going to be our post. So we'll just go up here and across there. Now, we've got to put some rails in for the gate. So once again, I'm just going to go in, we'll put 4 rails. And we'll make these rails, oh, they're about 8, roughly. And all I really want to do is to space them out just like that. The thing is, I don't want them to be all perfect, and so that's just really by eye, but you can measure it out. But I mean, it's not crucial. Oh, I always seem to do that. We want the bottom to be a bit better because, you know, you can compare it to the bottom of the ground here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now the next thing we do, we go from the top of the top rail to the top of the bottom rail, and then we're going to go in between. And this is going to be the brace that we use. That's going to tie everything together. So then we go from the bottom of the top rail, which is there, go down here, go down here, go down here, and then we line that up with the bottom of the bottom rail. So there, now we've got our brace. And now I get my paper here, and I'm going to work backwards. I've been a left-hander, just come down here, just like that. Remember, we don't want it to be too straight. It just doesn't look real if it's too straight. So just go up here. Try and do it in one continuous line. Just go slowly. Follow that line that you've drawn off the ruler. Right. Here. Across there. Down there. Here. Now remember, we don't want to make these lines too dark. They're a little bit dark, really. Probably should be using a an H pencil as opposed to an HB. But that's alright. What we'll do is, because we don't want these lines to be too obvious. If you remember in part 1, when I talked about making, we don't want to see a hard edge. So we blend to that edge. So what we have to do here, there's two things we can do. One, we can use our blue tack and just take a little bit of the darkness out, or we can just shade to. In other words, we can just shade to that, to the darkness. I mean to the same, so the same value of these lines here. So in other words, see what we're doing here, so that line is not so obvious. You know, I mean, if it was a cartoon or something along those lines, illustration sort of type thing, then yeah, it wouldn't matter if the lines are there. But because we're trying to do, even though it's only early days, and you've only just started to draw and you're drawing along with me, we still want to get it, as realistic as we can, without it becoming too daunting. So if you see what we've done here, I've just shaded it in. Come down here. Now, the gate has got to be attached. So, before we get too far ahead of ourselves, I'm going to put, and I will, well no, I won't use it for this one, but I'm going to put a hinge on here. So we'll come out just like this. It's got to be in line with this top rail. Okay, let's go like that, and then we'll come out here. Let's say we'll come out 10 mil from that the upright there. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. That's silly of me. I'm just using that as an example, but I shouldn't have actually drawn that. We need to take that line out anyway. Okay, now see how we've got this little dot here, little mark. That's going to be for the hinge. So we just come down a little wee bit from the top and we'll go like this. Okay? And a little wee bit from the bottom, a bit of an angle like that. And there we have a hinge. Now down here we're going to do the same. So remember, it's got to go in line with this. The hinges don't have to be the same, and quite often you'll see on these old farm gates and that the hinges weren't the same. They, might have lost one, or one came off or something, and they just, oh, we've got to put another hinge on there. So they just found one out in a shed somewhere. Let's come out a little bit more. Alright, now I'm going to take that out because you wouldn't see that on a real gate, would you? It's in front of it. Now, over here, that's the hinge. So now what we're going to do, we're going to attach the hinge to the post. So that's what we do here. We just come down a little wee bit like this. And that's what they call a gudgeon. I think it's called a gudgeon. And that sort of fits inside. So the post is sitting on top. That way we can open it and close it like that. And we'll put a few screw holes in there. I think what we'll do, we'll just carry on. So we've got that bit in there now. So we'll just carry on. And I'm just going to shade my way across. Remember, we don't have to go up and down like I'm doing here. It doesn't have to go over the side. Look, I went down the bottom there, so because being graphite, we can just rub it out. So I want it to be sort of pretty loose. I don't want it to be sitting there going, yeah. Like I get some of my students, they'll sit there and they make it too dark. We just want to use the weight of our pencil on its side. That's all we want. We want to use the side. When we're shading, we just use the side. And like I explained in part 1, yeah, I'm just going on the side on an angle now. We want to be able to make the post look round. So to do that, we just shade. Look, it's just not too much. Not too dark. Just a little bit like that, just to create the impression that it's going away from this, and which it would be doing if it was round. See how we're sort of getting that there like that, and it's all about building layers. I love it. And you see these lines that I'm putting in, because what I'm doing, I'm trying to just pick out little little bits of texture that's created from us using the graphite on the paper. It'll create those little imperfections, because the paper's not exactly smooth. There's little indentations and imperfections within the paper, and we're using that in the grain of the paper, and we're using that to our advantage to be able to create the texture of the post, the grain. So we'll just lay it down first. What we're doing starts off, when we're doing this bit here, putting the lines in, that's the line drawing. And then we do the under drawing, which is laying down some graphite. And then we come back and do some detail. So all that takes time, and it's a process. To me, it's all about the journey. I can't stress enough, you've got to enjoy what you're doing, and as I say, it's about the journey. It's about just taking your time and the satisfaction that you get from just sitting there and drawing away. And you're going to make mistakes, so that's cool. As soon as you get over that, and I've had students before that haven't done a lot of drawing, but they're sort of perfectionists, and they hate it when they make a mistake. Or they start saying, oh look, the pencil's, the paper's no good. There's nothing to do with it, except the fact that you are going to make mistakes. No one's perfect, not even me. No one is perfect. As we get further into these lessons, and then when we start doing the inking, I remember when I first started, and I decided I needed to get into how to learn how to draw with ink, with pens. And the first thing I realised was you just got to be bold, because once you put that mark on there, you can't get it off. I've tried, and in fact there's been times when I have had to get it off, but in all honesty, was to mask it. Yep, that's all we could really do. Once it's on there, but anyway, that's a whole other story. But we just carry on here, just trying to bring the shading or the tone, just trying to bring it so it matches the darkness of the line. Now, if it is too dark, because sometimes you sort of forget what you're doing and you make the lines too dark, that's very easy to do. But what you can do, if it is, and you don't want to make the actual shading any darker than what it is, just use your blue tack. And what we do, we're just going to go in here, look, and just tap it. And that'll lighten it up a bit. Take a bit of the graphite off, a bit of the darkness. And that just makes it a bit easier to be able to blend it all in together. No biggie. Just remember to keep twisting it and turning it so the graphite that's on the blue tack, it gets pushed back into the blue tack. I mean, it's getting to the point now where I'm probably going to have to get a new piece. It's not as effective, so I mean they're not expensive. Just going to blend that with my brush. I'm going to go in and just put a little bit more in there. That makes it a lot easier to just be able to bring it out to the edge. See what I mean? Now, of course, it's going to be a little bit darker in here. We can make it a little bit darker without, I'm not pushing hard at all. What we're doing, because we're using the same pen. I'm using an HB, which is the same pen I've used all the way through. Pencil, I mean. So, just by going over it again, we'll make it darker. We're putting another layer on top. I'm not pushing any harder. See that effect we're getting? And here I'm just using the tip of my pencil just to define that line there. And there. Now underneath the hinge, we're just going to put another little line. And what that'll do, just below the line that's there, that gives the impression that it's pushed away from, not so much pushed, but it's dimensional, it's three-dimensional. You know, it's not just a flat piece on the side of the gate there. So that we can actually see that it's thicker, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And then I'll go in here like this, little circular motions, just little circles. So we can get away with a bit of a hard line on here, because that's made out of steel or metal or whatever it's made out of, but it hasn't been hacked away with a saw or an axe. It's been specifically made. We do the same here. Now we've got the other next door neighbour doing her lawns. We've had that much rain, everything's grown so quickly, it's actually beautiful. A couple of months ago there was nothing, there was no grass or anything, it was just dirt, or like sand. I'm just going along here now, just taking the hard edge off those lines. I want to just put a few crosses like this. Yeah, now sometimes you'll see like this here, see how I've got this going across, and that'll be when the timber was cut, the sawmill. I mean, you gotta understand, the timber was cut at the sawmill, but it wasn't made into a gate. The farmer made it into the gate. So, and you'll see the cross cut, where the saw is cut the timber, sliced it into boards. You know, quite often you'll see that. Just giving it a bit more of an effect. And I'll go over it, and just like that, blend it, take a little bit out. It's a great way for doing creases too. And we'll get into that in a later drawing, how to draw creases and things. Okay, now, I'm just doing sort of a circular motion here, trying to pick up little bits like that there, and across here like that. That's not straight, we don't want it to be. It's just off the ground. I notice there's a little bit of sticking out here, just tidy that up. Brush away the crumbs. We're getting pretty close now. I think we're just going to put in some bolts. So we're just going to put a little sort of circular like that. Of course that's what's holding the gate together. And there. I'm not going to go into too much detail with this because it's just to get you started. We'll get into more detail as we go further into it. And you can always come back, you know, and I do that quite often. I'll come back to the drawing and you'll see things with fresh eyes, especially after you've sort of had a bit of practice at it. Get a bit of a blend. There's so much more we can do, you know. All I'm trying to do is just show you how to get started, how to get into it, you know. I'm just going to make it a little bit darker there. Once again, it's a bit like the hinge, you know. It just shows that it's actually pushed away, or it's sticking out beyond the rails, you know, and the gate. So, and then we'll do the same here. It gives it depth. Now, the next thing we need to do is we're going to put, well, it could be a bit of rope, it could be a bit of wire, just to tie the gate off. So what I do, come around here like this, just sort of stagger it a bit. It's a bit like Morse code. Our mate Smoothie 77 will say it's a bit like Morse code. Do that dot dash. So not just a straight line. And then to tie it off, we go like this. Squiggle, 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 and then flick down. So that's a bit of wire, but it could be a bit of twine, a bit of baling twine. Well, really, that's all there is. That's all we've got to do. What I'll do now, just to finish it off, we'll put a bit of grass or a bit of ground underneath, so it's not just floating. We don't have to do the whole lot. Keep the pencil flat on its side, like that. I mean, we could do more to this, obviously. But for the purpose of this exercise, our first drawing together, what do you reckon? Put a couple of tufts of grass here, little flicks, little dots, and we'll do one up here. A couple of little dots, and then what? We just a couple of little flicks through here, just random, just give the illusion of this grass. You can see me coming back and doing a bit more on this because there's a little bit more that could be done. But look, I'm happy with that, and I hope you are too. Alright, we'll leave it there. And remember, come back and have another look at it with fresh eyes. You'll see things in there that you didn't see, that you're not seeing right now. It doesn't matter how long it takes you. Alright then, that'll do it for now. Well, you made it. Now how easy was that? All you got to do is just take your time, pause whenever you want, and look what you get. I'm really glad that you drew along with me, and I really hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. And if you got something out of it, please give me a thumbs up, give it a like, and let me know in the comments what you got out of it. And if you've got any questions, just put them down there in the comments. I answer all my comments, and if I can help you in any way, that's what I'm here for. So anyway, if you like what you've seen, and you got some value out of it, please give me a thumbs up, and like I said, leave a comment. If you feel like subscribing, subscribe. And I know the word subscribe means, well, in some people's minds it's like, okay, it's going to cost me something. Well, it's not going to cost you anything. You just subscribe, and that way when you ring the bell you get notified every time a new video comes out. And I'd love it if you share with your friends, because if you liked it, they're going to like it as well. Alright then, well, thanks for watching, and I do hope you got something out of it, and we'll see you in the next one.